All right, I did it again. I waited 3 or 4 months to update this. I'm sorry. My whole intent for this was to be like a canary that says, when I stop updating this, that means something has gone horribly wrong and this thing is no longer in business. It's no longer legit. I apologize, and it's definitely still legit. Um, I've just been busy. As you can see, I'm in a new place. I moved again. I'm out in LA now, and I started working again. So that's my excuse. I actually have a good excuse this time. um, yeah, with the whole move and new job and everything, it's been really busy. But I apologize. I will make it quick. Um, let's see. It's been going very well. So, you can see by the graph, it's still a steady progression upwards. There's a little blip right here, which is I threw in a little bit more money. I don't think it was that much. It was maybe like $1,000, just to be a part of the new fund that they opened, which is I think it's called Latin America, focused on Colombia right now. And unfortunately, like right now, they said that at the beginning of the fund, that all they're doing is providing loans to existing solar developers so that they can build their own solar. Energia hasn't developed or purchased any actual solar projects in this new portfolio yet. It just opened a couple months ago. So that's obviously the ultimate plan, but it hasn't happened yet. So if you really just want to invest in real solar assets, then the other more mature plans are the way to go. Interestingly, the interest rates in South American countries are very high. So it seems like a good investment, but the thing I learned when looking at this is when you make a loan in a different currency, you have to take into account the inflation of that currency relative to whatever currency you are living in or spending. So if you're taking dollars, converting it to something else, and then making a loan in that currency, you get a certain interest rate, which might be a lot higher than you would get from just buying bonds in the US. But when you go to convert it back to dollars, you might actually lose a significant amount of money just because of the exchange rates have changed over time. So those exchange rates are, the relative inflation of the different currencies. And in the U.S., we are experiencing a lot of inflation right now, but historically we've had less inflation than some other countries, than a lot of other countries. And the dollar has been very stable, and this is the main reason why the dollar is the reserve currency of the world, blah, blah, blah. So that was interesting for me to learn. I think overall it's probably fine. We'll see what happens. I hope that they actually transition into doing projects soon. I guess it's been tough to kind of stay involved in this, just because, like everybody else right now, I have the AI psychosis going on, where all I care about is AI and data centers and chips and everything. So all my attention has been on that. Like the historic advice for investing has always been like diversify. And over my life, I guess I have a somewhat significant amount of experience investing now. I've been investing for about 20 years. So it's, like the timeline's getting a little bit more statistically significant. when I first started, all I did was follow the traditional advice and bought into mutual funds and ETFs and stuff like that, and just trusted the process. But over the years, I realized that, my for fun, just playing around accounts were doing so much better than all of the indexes and all of the mutual funds. And it was just like, after 10 plus years of me beating the index every single year, it just became like, I don't know, it just became like a little bit too obvious that there was something wrong with the system here. And like, it would be one thing if um, if they weren't charging such exorbitant fees. And I mean, like, ETFs don't charge fees, but like a lot of mutual funds do, and 401k funds and those kinds of things, they'll charge fees for essentially doing nothing. And, you know, when you buy a 401k fund, like, the best strategy right now is just to um, is just to try to mimic the entire market, like the S&P 500 or whatever. And doing that requires some amount of effort, but it's really not anything that um, anyone can do. Like, anyone can do it. So yeah, I think it's a weird thing where, originally the strategy was, or the sales pitch was like, if you go with a managed fund, you have the smartest financial people in the world on your team investing for you, trying to beat the market. And if you didn't do it, it was foolish, because you would get, all the gains would accrue to these people who knew what they were doing. And then people realized that that wasn't necessarily true. And, that on average, fund managers, um, they kind of just, like, if you aggregate them all, they kind of just, on average, do what the market does. And so unless you knew which manager to pick who is going to beat the market significantly, and they all say that they would, but you never know. So you would have to spread your money across a variety of different funds and managers and stuff. And then inevitably you get the average, because you had to spread it so much. And so you get the average minus the fees that you pay. And so, like, why not just do that yourself? Why not just, like, pick, you don't have to do it perfectly either. You can just pick like 100 stocks that you think are cool, or that seem like decent businesses, and invest a little bit in each of those. Or, in my case, I have maybe like 20 stocks. And I've just been focusing on technology. So I don't know. It just seems stupid to buy anything other than AI infrastructure right now. Just because, like, if it's true that AI is going to take everybody's jobs, and all the value in the world is going to accrue to these companies that are in the AI universe, then the only hedge against that is to also be an owner of those companies, right? So you have to, I mean, my job, if this is true, then my job will be completely useless in a few years. And the only way that I can continue to make money is by owning AI stocks, which should, if this is true, which I don't think it is, they should just keep going up and up. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think AI stocks will do very well, and also tech jobs will continue to exist. I don't think that everybody's getting replaced by AI. It just doesn't seem realistic to me right now. So, but either way, if it does happen, then all of these tech companies will just continue to print money and we'll be fine. Or, if not, I think they'll grow significantly. They'll probably outperform the rest of the market. And also, I'll still have a job. And so we'll be fine either way. But yeah, that's kind of my, um, I guess my unsolicited advice on personal finance right now is like part of the reason why I came back. The main reason that I went back to work was because I was bored. So there's that. I wanted to do something that was useful to other people and helpful to the world. So hopefully I'm doing that, and it's also fun for me. And now I'm less attached to climbing the ladder and getting or optimizing for the highest paycheck. So that makes life a little bit less stressful. And I'm having a lot of fun working. Um, I've kind of committed to myself that all the money that comes out of my paycheck will go to just random fun things. So that's been fun so far. Um, I bought a bunch of camping gear and I've been camping a lot and going hiking and exploring like up in the canyons by Malibu. There's like a lot of cool hiking and stuff. So that's been my last few months. Um, and and yeah, I think the one thing that's hard to keep into perspective right now is since stocks are doing so well, and I have this like pretty large portfolio or pretty large allocation into um, hard assets like real estate and this solar thing. Um, it's hard to look at it every day and say, oh, it's only getting this 13% return, right? Which seems crazy, but I, yeah, I have to remind myself that diversification is still like, I don't want to say the right strategy, but it is still like useful. I think if I were starting over, I think I would have, especially early in my career, gone all in on the highest upside stocks, right? Like the tech stocks. Like I would have just, I'm so frustrated because I had so little money back then when I started that, um, it felt like a lot to me. I remember when I had just started investing when the like financial crisis happened, and I lost like a third of my portfolio in my quote unquote diversified safe portfolio. um, I lost about a third of it over the course of like a month or two, and that felt really bad. Um, but it all came back. First of all, it did all eventually come back, and second of all, like the amount that I lost is like what like I gain that much in a day sometimes now. Like a good day I will get more than that. So it's I think the yeah, I think the idea of playing it safe and playing the long game for your retirement or whatever when you're like in your early 20s is so dumb. I think you should be one, putting as much in as you can from your own salary, right? Just to build that base, because when you have nothing in there, every bit that you add makes a bigger difference than it does towards the end, right? Um, that's just the time value of money. So it's a bigger impact if you add stuff when you're young. So that's one. Um, and then go for the more risky thing, because if you lose it, the absolute value of what you lost is not that much compared to if you do riskier things later on to try to catch up, right? To say like, oh, I've been missing out on all this growth. Now I'm, 60. I'm looking to retire. I need to get to a certain level of net worth in the next few years just to be able to retire, and therefore I have to do risky stuff now. I think that's a little bit, I mean, either way, it's all based on percentages, so it can work that way. And, you can't really change what's happening in the market. If you grew up in a bad market, then it is what it is, and you should take advantage of the market that exists today. But you can never know that. So I think if I had to do it over again, I would have spent more time learning when I was young, which took me many years to learn all this stuff. But I would have also just like um, put less weight on the opinions of the so-called experts and realize that I am smart and I care more about my financial future than everybody else. So none of these people really care what happens to me or my retirement. So yeah, I like, why would I really blindly trust these managers with my money? Like, obviously they are incentivized to some extent to do well, but I don't know. I just like, it's just so hard to deny that I've outperformed the market without even trying, like as a side hobby for the last 20 years consistently. And like, it's not like I did anything crazy. I just invested in tech companies, which they've all done incredibly well. And there have been downturns and recessions and stuff, but they always come back. And yeah, I don't see that changing anytime soon. It's just like the the ability of the smartest people in the world who all work at tech companies to figure out what they need to do to make money is just like I don't know, you're just kind of betting on the smartest people to keep making money. So I think it's just makes sense to me. And yeah, I don't do research on um, you know, public company shareholder whatever letters or all that nonsense. I just have invested in um, the proven companies, and um, yeah, I mean, it's been a moment where the top 5 or 6 companies have accrued most of the gains for the last few years, and like, all you have to do is jump on that train. It's not like it's a secret company. Like, the people, it used to be like, oh my god, I've done all this research and I found this small company that nobody's ever heard of and they're about to blow up. And it's like, no, I invested in Google and Microsoft and and Nvidia, and they're doing great and they're going to keep doing great. So yeah, I don't know. It's like, a lot of times I think maybe I should just be um, selling everything else, taking out tons of debt to leverage buy into Nvidia, because like, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. There's literally like way more demand than they can supply for the next foreseeable future. So I don't know. And what's the downside for Nvidia? There really isn't one. I mean, like, what is the downside? Somebody else makes an equivalent design chip, and then what? Like, there's still more. Yeah, I don't really see it. You know, there was this moment where DeepSeek came out with a model that uses way less compute than um, than any of the current models at the time, and people are like, "Oh my God, this is the end," and it literally had no effect on Nvidia's sales, right? Because, well, first of all, that model, even though it used less compute, it also just sucked. Like, we always want better models, so we're always gonna like ask for more, and and Nvidia is the only game in town right now. So yeah, I don't know. I wish. Okay, here's one thing. Back to solar. I wish I could see how solar companies are contributing to this. Right. I wish there was an intersection, and I don't. I haven't been paying that much attention, but I don't think it's happening where Um, this Energia is not really leaning into buying more solar in the U.S. I don't think the energy prices that these companies are willing to pay the data centers are going up, or they're not really paying a premium for green energy anymore. Um, so maybe they are building a lot, but I haven't heard too much about it. It seems like they all want to go for the more stable power, which is like gas turbines. Um, so yeah, and of course, at the end of last year, the tax credits ran out, so um, everything is instantly like 30% more expensive to build, which sucks. So, uh, yeah, I wish there was more hype around the future of solar with respect to data centers, but it seems like there's not. Maybe there are small companies that are benefiting from it. I just haven't spent the time to look for them. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, there's the hype around data centers in space. So I'm still waiting for Energia to start their space fund. That'll be something that I'd put some money into, but haven't seen it yet. So um, yeah, that's all I got for today. It's still doing well. The dividends keep coming in, and sun is shining. We're making power. Yeah, I think it's weird that the whole country has stopped caring about fossil fuels. Um, so we'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll see. Um, even the whole thing with the Strait of Hormuz and everything has not really caused a, a significant increase in demand for solar power, which obviously these things move slow and they don't react quickly, but um, you know it might have happened. There is a narrative where people think that the um, oil supply will be constrained for a long time, and we need to start building solar as a response to that. But I don't think that's happened. So um, maybe it's happening in China. Who knows? Um, but yeah, I mean, my advice, I guess, to myself is remember when you initially invested in this. Remember what it felt like at that time and the reasons behind doing the investment to begin with. Um, those reasons were things like you wanted to help build out of solar in the world as a whole, because every solar panel that you put up means a little bit less fossil fuel that's burned, um, kind of slowing down the use of non-renewable energy. So that still applies. Um, at the time it was much cheaper to build in other countries than in the U.S., and that still applies. In fact, even more as we go forward and the subsidies get phased out. So hopefully there will be some other countries that start doing subsidies, and then we can just kind of follow that. And you know that's the whole point of the subsidies. It's like if you incentivize people to build solar, then all these companies will come in and start doing it. And I'm happy to contribute to that if say like Mexico decides they want to start subsidizing solar to the degree that like the U.S. was a few years ago, then maybe companies will start responding to that and start building tons of solar in Mexico, and I would love to be a part of that too. So, you know, I'm just on the lookout for that. But yeah, hopefully I won't wait another 3 months to report, and things are going well. Oh, there was one thing, like somebody on the last video commented or asked what the fee structure was for this company. So it's a little bit different than a typical, like he was trying to compare it to like a venture investment company or private equity company or something like that. And it's a little bit different than that. What they claim is a guaranteed return of, depending on which fund you buy into. Here's the 13%, but let me see. Where are the different funds that you can? Yeah, so they claim this guaranteed return depending on which one you invest in, and when you hear a guaranteed return, alarm bells start going off, right? Like, how can you guarantee that? And so that's part of the reason why I'm doing these videos, and to either give confidence or transparency to how it's going for me. And I've been invested in this company for, I think, over 2 years now. And so far it's good. The mechanism by which they give you this guaranteed return is a little bit interesting. They give you part of it as a dividend and then part of it as appreciation in your investment. And the idea is that smooths out, because these things go in cycles where the premise is that the solar asset is very predictable. The revenue from a solar asset can be predicted ahead of time, and you know how much it's going to cost you to build it. You know how much energy it's going to produce and how much it's going to cost to maintain it. So given all that, you have a pretty good idea of what the return is going to be. I guess the only thing you don't know is how long the thing is going to operate for, but they have kind of a long contract for providing power, and then after however many years, it's like 20, 25 years, they will start to sell off whatever remaining assets are at a pretty cheap price. But there is an upside that maybe these things are engineered better than they thought, and the panels will continue producing for more than 25 years, and maybe they can just keep it and keep running it as long as they keep putting out power. Why wouldn't you just keep making it? It's going to cost you money to tear them down and replace them with new ones. So yeah, we'll see. I think it's still unclear how long these things will last, because we have data on how long panels lasted in the past, but it's a 25-year kind of warranty. So it could be significantly longer. And that would be, that would be a huge positive as far as these things go. So, So anyways, the fee structure is kind of opaque. And they guarantee this return, and then the rest goes to the company. So whatever that means, which makes it a little bit sus, because you don't know how much money they're making, or if they're actually like losing money in order to keep this thing afloat. And hopefully not. He did say in one of the so the CEO said in one of his investor meetings that they had originally started the company with a large institutional investment, so many millions of dollars to build or to purchase some solar farms, where they took a more traditional management fee structure, and so that was what they used to fund the startup of the company. And then that allows them to do this kind of model, which is a little bit new and different for commercial investors. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to like represent the company in any way because I don't actually know these people personally, but it sounds like their heart is in the right place. Like they have all, I think his name is Mike. This guy Mike originally started a solar company, did very well, sold it, and is now doing this as kind of an experiment, kind of like a democratization of access to solar investments for people. So I think if as far as that story, it makes sense. It sounds great, and so far it's working. So as long as that is the case, then I think it's a really good company, and they're doing good things. Obviously, it's good for the world, and obviously, it's good for giving people access to these kinds of investments, and being able to contribute to this it makes me feel good. It's a very expensive price to pay to feel good, but you can invest as much as you like. You don't have to do that much. I think the minimum is like $100. So yeah, I'll see you next month.